Go. Okay, stop. No. Stay loaded. Okay, gun out already. Stand by. Fire. Okay, stand by. Go. All right, stand by. This is gonna be the end of the mag, yeah?
Yep, shoot.
Fire. Perfect, okay.
What's up, everybody? Jarrod from Ravenwing here. Gonna talk real quickly about my optic of choice, the Holosun 507 comp. Let me start with this. There's nothing wrong with an SRO, other than the price. For honestly about 200 bucks less, you can pick up a 507 comp, which means, as we all know, when you shoot competitions, you need multiple guns. You're really getting in at a very affordable price point, and in my opinion, just as good, if not better, of an optic. As you can tell on all of my competition and my EDC guns, I run the 507 comp. This is my primary gun that I shoot USPSA carry optics with. This is my backup and my IDPA gun. It's set up for IDPA right now with the magwell on it. This is primarily my limited optics gun. I have it set up in a carry optics configuration today, and you'll notice in all three, I have the 507 comp. Of course, these are Langdon, and so they have the Langdon cut on them and sit a little bit lower with his proprietary internals on the Beretta. But I'll talk just real quick about the 507 comp. So first, window size. Other than the SRO, I have not seen another dot that has this big of a window size, which for me, as your eyes drive so much of what you're doing when you're shooting competitively, having a bigger window on some of those narrow transitions can be a real benefit, because I'm really not shifting my eyes outside of the window if I'm moving my eyes and gun at the same time. My eyes will land there first, which is always my goal on a specific spot, but it tracks so much better and I pick it up in my peripherals with those larger windows. The other thing about the 507 that I've noticed is, because of my particular grip, and I really don't care if the gun shoots flat or not, I want it to return to zero at the same spot every time, but my dot rarely leaves the window, which is also nice as I'm working my bump transitions, because in the peripheral, I'm picking up the dot as it moves from target to target. I have had better luck with these in the sun than I did any of my SROs. There's still some ghost rings that'll happen from time to time as the sun pops in and throws some of the prism back at it. But it has, for me, not been nearly as bad as it was with the SRO. With the SRO, I would have two distinct dots and spend time guessing which was the one I needed to shoot. With this, I get sort of a square or a circle around the dot with a little bit of the castback off of the optic, but I know which one the dot is, and so it doesn't slow me down the way it did with the SRO. Of course, you can buy the fancy gadgets to cover it or slap a piece of tape to occlude if the sun's that bad, but I've noticed it happen more frequently on my SROs than it ever has with the 507 comp. The other thing I really like about the 507 comp is it has fit in every holster we have tried. I had to mod several of my Safarilands to be able to run on when I had a 507 comp or an SRO on my Staccato or on my Langdons. I haven't had to mod a single holster for the 507 comp. It's fit in every single one that I've tried. I've had no issues with it in any of my AIWB holsters, whether that's the Tier 1 MSP, the Tier 1 Axis Elite, the Dark Star holster, or even running some of the older Alpha Kydex ones or Alpha Bravo ones that I had as I try on some of those. I have had no problems carrying this dot. I know some people worry about the size and the form of it, that it would print. Yes, I get it. I'm a bigger guy. I also carry a full-size gun, but I've had no printing issues with these either. Now, initially, I was a little worried because it's not rounded like the SRO, that it might create a sharper angle. So as you can see, not rounded like the SRO, but it really hasn't for me at all. And I think that comes down to the equipment that you're going to set up and how you choose to EDC. So what's the wedges? What's the wing that you're using? What belt are you using? All of those pieces are important. But I would say that I have enough confidence and enough familiarity with this dot that I carry it on my everyday carry, as well as I compete with it. I've had really no issues with these. Now, we've seen some on the internet, if you're not using the right screws, they will come off, as will any dot. And so depending on the mount that you're using, the plate that you're using, the screws that you're using, I have found Holosun to work with me really, really well. So I asked them about, hey, Langdon has a proprietary screw that they use on their plates. Can you guys get me some of those? They were able to, and so now I have backups to the Langdon screws that we had so that I really shouldn't have an issue. This is a user error, so I'll tell you my user error story. In a match, I was shooting with my very first 507 comp. I come around the barricade and I shoot and my dot goes off and I couldn't turn it on, and I couldn't figure out why until I took the gun out at the safe table. I rolled it over and I had yeeted the battery tray across the range. Again, user error. So before every match, before every time I'm going to go out and shoot, once a week, I just take my Holosun tool and check the tightness of the battery tray, and I've had no issues since. But all learning lessons, right? So with the external battery tray, which means I don't have to take the dot off to change the battery, which is a huge bonus. It's just something that you need to check. As far as battery life, I just leave them on, especially on my EDC, and I change them. I've had these two for just over a year and this one just under a year. I just change them once a year and I've had no issues. Now I will turn it down a little bit at night, obviously for all the appropriate reasons, but really no issues with battery life. The one piece of feedback, and I hear that they're looking at it, that I've given Holosun in talking to Josh, was if there was one more setting where it would get just a touch brighter on those really bright days, that would be amazing. And I think if they could accomplish that, I would have no issues recommending this dot over really any other for competition right now. So again, love the 507 comp. I run it on all of my competition guns. I run it on my EDC gun, and will soon also be slapping it on my staccato, which I shoot for fun because you guys know I'm a Langdon fanboy. But these are my dot of choice.
How many rounds do you have so far, like total on the 507 comp?
So great question. On these two guns, because I shot this one for IDPA this year and a lot of my drills in practice, I probably have about 5,000 or 6,000 on this particular dot on this particular gun. I have well over 20,000 on this dot this year because it's set on my gun for the entire competition season, all of the classes that I've taught, all of the range practice sessions like we had today. Well over 20,000 rounds on this particular dot, and I've had no issues with the dot whatsoever. This gun's a little bit less. I'm still getting used to and new with this one. So I've shot way less limited optics this year, so probably just a couple thousand, but again, no issues at all. Obviously, we talked about my Langdons in another video. This one's the 92X Defensive. It runs a little bit heavier, but I haven't noticed any sort of it runs heavier, and it's a heavier gun. It doesn't run heavier, it's just a heavier gun. But I haven't noticed any sort of a performance difference in the optic mounted to these at all. And just for the record, I shot IDPA Worlds this year. I ended up running this gun with these grips on it and a magwell, but I had my Holosun 507 on it. I ran it all from AIWB. Absolutely no issues. And one stage you had to run with a flashlight. So because I was running AIWB and I always carry a flashlight, I had a light on the gun. And so I had it set for full-time daytime brightness because you had to shoot outside, go into, they built this sort of environment covered in black plastic to simulate night. Clicked on the weapon light, dot was right where I needed to be. Absolutely no issues. We've done some shooting under knots too recently, and so with passive aiming, again, the 507 comp worked just fine. I turned it down to its lowest brightness setting, and like all passive aiming devices, it showed up where it was supposed to, and performed the way I expected it to. So obviously, big fan. Shouts out to the boys over at Holosun for keeping us. And man, here's the thing I love about that company. They continue to chase innovation, and they continue to provide them at reliable and affordable prices, right? So I know I opened with it, but I feel like in closing it makes sense to go back to it. Honestly, you can pick up two of these for about the price of an SRO, maybe just a touch more. And when you're into competitions and you have to have a backup gun, you have to be ready to go, I just can't see a better way to do that affordably and not sacrifice any of the quality or the performance when you move over to the comp versus the SRO.